Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee and Darts. I'm your host, Matthew. We've got a fun, exciting day here. We've got some Canadian blood in the house. We've got some up north blood for me. The Canadians we had Canadian on Monday. I think they're infiltrating. But before we bring on our guest, I do want to thank everyone for coming on and checking out the show, hanging out with me. As you can tell, I'm in a different area, a different place. I'm actually in good old Lost Wages, or Las Vegas, as some of you know it. Here to do a conference on learning more about doing live video, YouTube, and all those fun things, so I can bring that information to you and up my game and make it that much better for everyone else that's got to watch and look at me. So I appreciate you guys doing that. I want to thank Shot Darts for being a sponsor of Coffee and Darts. So check out Shot Darts at shotdarts.com. They've got 2 cool new barrels coming out. If you check social media, you'll see them start to drop some information on it. I will have pictures for you guys soon on those. They are smoking hot. That's all I can tell you right now. And I want to thank Magicwear and Jen Mounts and the A to Z team over at Magicwear, and cool jerseys. Gotta love them. They're super comfortable. They do some great work over there. Go check out Magicwear at magicwear.com. All right, enough of me and that stuff. Oh, wait, check out atomicdarts.com. Get yourself a hat and all that other cool stuff. Got to get the right angle on there. And let's bring on our guest. Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Good morning. It's early.
It is early. It's 7 a.m. for both of us. It's like midnight for the rest of the world.
Right?
Yeah. So real quick, Dawn, I know my normal first question is, how did you get into darts? But more or less, like, you and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and it's all been through social media. We have been at tournaments together, but have never met.
I know.
We're always like, hey, let's get together, and it doesn't happen. It's kind of been fun getting to know people through social media within the community.
I agree.
You know, it's been a good time. Like, I feel like if you and I got together, we could sit down and have coffee and just talk darts and talk family and life and all that other stuff, and it would just be like we've been pals for a long time, which essentially we have through social media. I bring that all up just to point out to those that are new into the community. Mm-hmm. That's how cool this community is. You're from Canada, and during hockey season, particularly USA versus Canada, we may be enemies at that moment, but the rest of the time, we're like family. And I think people that are coming into the community need to understand how great that is. So, with that said, how'd you get into darts?
Well, I think I have the same answer as everyone else that's been on the show, I think, for most part. So I, will not reveal my age, but I've been playing since I was 12. That was in the early 80s. And
I thought you were 22. I'm now shocked.
That's why we're friends.
That's exactly.
No, my parents both played non-competitive for the most part. My dad was English, so it was one of those things that he just did every week. And I got dropped off at a local tournament. And I'm the oldest of 4 kids, so my mom was pretty busy. My dad actually had to fly back to England that weekend. So my mom was none less impressed that she now had to run around, drop off a teenager somewhere. So anyway, she checked in, and I wound up playing all boys. There were no other girls there. And I won. And it turned out to be the first provincial youth tournament for British Columbia. So I had qualified to go to the first youth nationals, which was actually in Nova Scotia that year. So my mom and dad were like, what? What did we do? So they kind of started this whole ball rolling of, what became a lifelong passion of playing the game. Like most kids, you develop lifelong friendships. There's friends that I met, 30 years ago that are still friends today. And a lot of them are adult players out and about. There's, as you've seen, there's lots of kids lots of players today that started out as kids. And I think the big thing is how did you start, but how did you keep going?
Yeah. Support
from the community, the adults, and fostering that pool of players that's going to come up and eventually play with them. And, and sponsors, if it's the taverns, the pubs, legions, we have legions up here, that type of thing. So I've played on and off, but I think I came back in 2013 13, I moved back to British Columbia. I was away for a while for work, and 2016 was pretty much when I started real competitive.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about the youth darts, because I don't think it gets talked about enough. The idea, because I know some young players that are really good and have potential, but like most sports, two things happen. One, you can get burnt out.
Yeah.
And then two, if you don't have support, no matter how good you are, no one will ever know, because you need the support to keep going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's it like, being a part of that? What do you see we could do better outside of sponsors, putting some money into the pot or sponsoring kids,
Right.
which, as great a sport as we are and as much notoriety as we're starting to get, there's still a lack of funds that are available. How do you see helping the youth?
Well, I think from where I started was the very first year in Canada, and it's gone leaps and bounds past what it was. There's always been the parent support, the other players' support, but really it's the investment that the community is making as a whole. It's not even so much that there's money in the pot. Kids are going to play any sport, they're going to get support. In some areas it is recognized as a sport, some it's a pub sport. So in British Columbia especially, it's not recognized as a sport. So there we have a great youth director in Tracy McDonald out of Victoria on Vancouver Island, and both her kids play. She's been a great supporter. That's just current. I mean, I can't even speak to the number of people in the different parts of the province and the country that are having youth groups and on their own time. They've become coaches through Sport Canada or through their local provincial bodies, that goes through criminal checks and, learning how to deal with kids and all that fun stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, tournaments, if they're held in venues that can have a liquor license that allows minors in, like a wedding license and stuff like that, let the kids in.
Yeah.
I think we're past the point of adults thinking that they are going to get beat by a kid potentially. But just like you're saying, the talent is untapped. Yeah. Those kids need a chance to play. And, I play with youth in doubles if I get a chance, because those kids aren't going to get an opportunity to play with, adult players that maybe have exposure to other things. And then you can talk to them and mentor them on how to build their own brand and be a part of the social scene in a good way, not in a bad way, because we all know what social media has its dark side. So as you try to keep your kids on the straight and narrow, the community as a whole is quite supportive of each other, and it's heartwarming for me to see that those relationships can still be built. They're still being built, and they're carrying through 20 years later. Because go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna say a lot of those people that they've met over the years become, entrepreneurs, or they're doing their own thing, like you. All the different brands out there, they've all started somewhere. And if they get to know them by being able to attend these tournaments and put their names out there and play, that's where they're going to get recognized.
Yeah. And I think about my son, who has beaten me 26 times.
26 times.
Yes. And Michael will correct me if I get that wrong. And of course, Dylan will correct me. But literally, he's beaten me, and he beat me twice this past weekend on camera. I can't deny it. And I look at the youth in the sport, and it's like most sports outside of some of the bigger sports out there where companies will look at the youth and go, hey, we can make money off this guy. Let's mature him. You're not going to do that necessarily in darts, or you shouldn't think that way. But as the community, we need to continue to pump up. And you know what? It's okay to be beat by a youth. You should be excited at the fact that there's talent out there, because there are some seriously talented 10, 11, 12-year-olds that can kick the crap out of most of us. Yeah. And we need to let them. We need to praise them for the ability, the skill, the math skill. See, my thing is I'm using it now with my kids, literally since we're homeschooling. We have math once a day. We play darts, and we add up. And the schools, it would be awesome to see the schools start using darts. Now you're putting sharp objects in kids' hands, but we could get around that. But from a math perspective, so there's a part of me, and I may not talk enough about it, but I love the aspect of the youth bringing that up. So I'm glad that you were able to get into it, and I'm glad that Canada has definitely taken it from what it was, and it's building. It sounds like there's some good people over there that are helping. Like, I had Dawson on, and I hear of all these great, younger Canadians that are coming through the darts community. Unfortunately, your Southern friends, we haven't figured it out yet.
Well, and I think it's gonna keep rolling. It's gonna keep, organically growing as, the players are getting older too. So, I mean, we need to develop that pool of players, and we need to support them. I mean, if you have a passion for the sport, period, you're going to look for ways to grow it, whether it's on the adult side, the youth side, the women's side, tournaments, just exposure, period. And a lot of it's coming from, because it's such a social media platform in a lot of ways, you got to teach them how to be good representation for their province, state, countries, and those opportunities are out there. It's just a matter of getting them out and letting the venues be able to host those kids to play.
Yes. Yeah. Real quick, Bullseye and Brewskis, I'm in Vegas, so no mug. Sorry, I had to go with the Starbucks. And Dawn hasn't gotten her mug yet in the mail, so she'll have a mug soon, and then we'll bring her back on for that. But real quick, you mentioned social media and youth. How can the youth or darts players in general start to use social media to get sponsors? And then we'll start talking, a little bit about how you've gained sponsorship. So what are your thoughts on social media and how to use that?
My thoughts on social media is, like I said before, it can be a dark place. I think we've seen it, and people have their opinions about it. I think there's nothing wrong with keeping positive messages, and especially like in the last 6 months as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people having issues, and they've been cooped up or whatever the case might be. And I think for a lot of kids, there's a lot of pressure on them to do things. So I think I always say to kids, if they've asked the question, how do I get in, how do I get a sponsorship? Sponsorship isn't the end all be all. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And by enjoying what you're doing, you're out there, you meet people, not in person all the time. They might just be on a social platform and by exchanging messages. But I think the big thing is they got to keep it clean. And I think, if you're a true person, that reflects in what you post. I post about adopting kittens, not, something else. But I mean, that's me. Holistically, I just want people to do well. So if that means supporting kids or an organization or anything like that, I think they need to keep it clean, and they need to be honest. You can't be two different people when companies are looking for brand ambassadors or any type of face to their brand. You want to know the person that you're dealing with. So I always say, keep your social media clean, keep it positive, because even they say with employers can check out social media. You wonder why you didn't get the job. Probably because, you posted something from last weekend that shouldn't have been posted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's the big struggle when it comes to social media. And I actually went through my social media recently and pulled down stuff that were things that I believed in, but I was realizing were becoming controversial issues, or was putting a divide between me and others that are on my social media. And, I need to make sure that I'm putting out a good, open idea of who I am, not, hey, I'm backing myself into a corner and this is exactly who I am. Yeah, everybody has their opinion about a particular thing. The truth is, you don't always need to share it. Right. And when it comes to social media, and if you're trying to get a job, or you're trying to Impress a potential sponsor, or just other darts people in general, really keeping it clean and having just normal type stuff, not getting political, not getting sexual, not getting, into things or diatribes or issues and problems with others and starting fights. You just don't need that out there if you're trying to build an image.
Yeah.
And that's what I think darts players need to start. They need to market themselves. They need to look at who they are and does this make sense for the darts community when I post this? I get it. It's like, really, do I need to think that? But the truth is, yeah, you need to think, how is Target Darts? How is Shot Darts? How is L Style? How is this company going to see this? And if they put their name on me, on my shirt, my jersey, am I representing what they're looking for? So speaking of sponsors, you have some wonderful sponsors. Let's talk a little bit of, so L Style is one of them. Monstah Clothing. Did I say that right? And then there's, I wrote it down here because I was like, what's this? Orange Kitchen and Bar. I'm interested in finding out about that one. But how did you get sponsors? I mean, did you go out and look for them? Did they come to you? And how's that working, especially being in the virtual world now? We're not physically out and about.
There's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think, like you just kind of interluded into that question. Building your own brand and being true to yourself and who you are is very important. There's a lot of people, you see them out and about as one way, and then all of a sudden you see them as another way, and they get asked about. Sponsors will ask other players, what about Matthew Harper? What about Don Marchand? So how do you come up? You can always go to a company directly. I mean, obviously it's like getting a job. So obviously approaching sponsors directly is a way to go. Through other players that have been sponsored by that company or are currently sponsored by them, and ask for advice. Like Dawson mentioned in his about a month ago or a few weeks ago, with the Shot Young Guns. It's a great program. And, if you get into a sponsor to start off with, like my first sponsor was Accurate Dart, it's a great exposure to know how the sponsorship process works, how you can negotiate. But really, at the end of the day, unless you're like in that top percentage of players, that are playing overseas and on the tours and big things like that, it's a lot about who you are as a person and who you are as a player at the hockey. So if you're just a jerk, chances are you're not going to be very successful if your goal is to get sponsors. So there are sponsors that just want you to wear a patch. There are sponsors that are looking for more or less. And I've been very fortunate that my sponsors, it was a negotiation with some and by referral. And it's been a really positive process. Like, as a female player, I think it's how I've been treated, I feel has been wonderful. And I think if everybody has a similar experience, the stigma of separation of the genders and that sort of thing can come down. I think the walls can start to come down a bit. But it's all business. They're giving you product, they're paying for things, they expect certain things on social media, again, keeping it clean, keeping it positive. So if you want to be sponsored, you need to put yourself out there and brand yourself. And like you said at the top of the time, you and I have never met personally, but seriously, we could sit down and have a drink somewhere and have a coffee. You got to talk. You got to be out there. It's not just, I'm not a big extrovert, but I like to travel and go to different events, and I support things. I try my best, not to spread it too thin and give quality time to where it's needed, like the kids. So, at the end of the day, all of that builds up into what your brand is, and that's what sponsors like to see. So I'm very lucky. I've got, L Style. So I went, I've got Joelle out of California. Chris Trinidad is based out of Hawaii with Monstah Clothing, which is big on the West Coast. But I mean, I was at Seacoast last year in Boston, and there was so many Monstah shirts. I'm like, it's taking over. And then, my buddy has Orange Kitchen and Bar up here in Port Coquitlam up in BC, and he doesn't even have a dartboard in his venue, but he believes in the person, and that's what I do. So I support his business and he supports me.
Nice. Nice. And I think what people need to understand, especially those coming into the sport or being here for a little while, you're not going to make a living off your sponsors unless you're, PDC top 64 type situation. You're just not going to live off what they give you, because normally it's product. They may pay for entrance fee into a particular tournament for you, but they're not sending you checks every month. I mean, there's very few people that actually get that capability. And most players, let's remember, Marvin King, who is a top, I think he's still in the top 20 on the PDC, took a job while there was no play, and he was doing that because that's just the reality of our sport. We're not the NBA, we're not the NFL, we're not hockey. So just keep in mind, when you're looking for sponsors, don't think they're going to pay your rent, your mortgage, whatever it may be. Yeah. And at the same time, remember, they understand that they're going to get a little bit from you, but they're not, unless you're MVG, you're not selling their product for them. Right. People buy MVG barrels because it's MVG. Yeah. So Winmore's getting that piece for having him. They're not going to buy a barrel because it's, oh, look, it's Matt Harper. It's his,
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing. And that's the thing. We play because we love the sport. Yeah. We love the game. We love the camaraderie. We love the competition. And yeah, we all have a day job for the most part. Yeah. If darts paid the bills, it'd be a whole other ball game. So we always keep, that's one of the things we tell the kids as well. You can have your dreams and aspirations. You may be able to go and play on the tour and try and get your card and all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like these big football players, like you mentioned. A lot of them have to go to school. They need something to fall back on. Like I have a friend who's in the NHL, and his parents made sure he got his degree, because when he gets hurt that one season and he's out, hockey's done. Yeah. So I know, like you said, darts is different, but definitely the most, unless you're like in that top 64, really, this is a passion. And the money that you win is probably paying your hotel bill. Yeah. Yeah. And your meals. And most people may not even understand this, but like we've talked about the championship darts circuit here lately, because that's been going off here in America, in Canada. The top players in that circuit all have 9-to-5 jobs. Okay. The top players in North America, whether it's Canada or the US, all have regular jobs. Yeah. So if you're younger getting into this, just understand that that's the point where we're at currently. Hopefully we'll get to a point where our top 20, 24 players can just be great ambassadors for the sport and not have to do a job. We're not there yet. So I'm curious, as a female in this sport, and we're seeing the ladies game get more recognition. Of course, the BDO, as much as they've gone defunct and they made some really bad decisions, they at least had the ladies game. It was a presence at tournaments. Could it have been done better? We can go back and look at things and we could get into that. But the truth is, the game is starting to progress and women are becoming more recognized. How have you? I mean, you've been doing this for about 12 years now, because you're 20 something. How's it progressed for you, and what's it like being a female in this sport? I think it's great this day at this time to be a woman playing darts. There's a lot of great dart players out there, and I say a lot, men and women. And I think there's a lot of women out there who have paved the trail for a lot of us and continue to do so. I mean, I'm not going to drop a bunch of names, but Stacy and Brenda and the group down in Colorado, and Carol Harriet. There's so many women. There's just so many. And I think the thing is that the level of talent has increased and gone up as the years have come on. Even in the last 5 years, the level of women's play, like, you got to be on your game. To play against the men, a lot of these women can take on the men. Like, there shouldn't be a divide anymore. And I know you have to have men's events and women's events, and I'm very supportive of that. But if a woman wants to cross over and play a man, I'd support that too, because a lot of them, they're just as good. There's no reason why they shouldn't have the opportunity. And that might be controversial with some people, but I think equal opportunity across the board. Kids need equal opportunity to play against the adults. And so it's I know it's a bigger conversation, but I feel very honored to be able to play a sport that my parents wanted me to try out. And all these years later, I mean, they're both gone, so they wouldn't even know. But I mean, to have that opportunity to be recognized by companies, by my fellow players who are friends, acquaintances, I mean, it's very humbling. I'm very humbled for what I've been able to do in lieu of being a good brand ambassador to myself and to the sport and to the companies. So I think women just really need to, there's nothing, you can be competitive, you can be, aggressive at the toe line in your game, but when you step away, it's still, you're representing yourself, you're representing all of us. And that's what I look at as, I'm representing a lot of people, because I want the optics to be positive going forward, whether it's my home province, the pool of players we have here in British Columbia, Canada, when I travel abroad, I'm representing myself and my country and all the women players that are out there. So it can be a sentimental topic with me, but I think the biggest thing is that whatever you enjoy doing in life, you do it right. You have to do it right, because someone's always going to look up and see what you did. And just like you said, how do you get a sponsor? How are you able to travel?
Yeah. And again, I stand on this soapbox. I think that darts is the equalizer in sports. We all play the same distance. We're all playing the same height of board. It really just comes down to being able to play the board, and putting in the time and effort to get better at darts, and really maturing your throw and your mental ability at the dartboard or at the hockey. I believe they should have true open divisions where it's like, okay, anybody can come play to earn a spot into this, whether you're female or not. Now, age groups that we could talk about where there's some specifics there. Maybe it's based on averages, right. But I think we can open up the sport even more. And we're seeing that. I like that the PDC, I don't think they would have done much if the BDO hadn't gone defunct. And guys, the BDO is still there technically, but they're not there. So at least the PDC has kind of stepped in. And I know with talking with some of the people at the PDC, their attitude is like, look, everybody can get a tour card. Anybody can get a tour card. Yeah. So, as the women get better at darts, we will see them playing. And, this year we saw some fun stuff happen with the World Championships in Fallon. And I'm horribly blanking on her name that got a tour card, and we just didn't get to see her play because of COVID. And that's horrible that I'm blanking on that. It'll come back to me. Sorry, guys. But again, that's the beauty, I think, of our sport. We need to open up as leagues to push more. Now, we have some phenomenal women in our league, and I lose to them, and I'm happy to lose to them because they're great players. Yeah. And so I think as time progresses and we kind of get over ourselves, we'll see women, moving up. And when we talk about things like the CDC, Championship Darts, I know I'm not supposed to say CDC anymore, or we see the PDC, we're going to start seeing women on the regular, on televised in major championships. It's coming. We might be 5 years away, but it's coming.
Oh yeah. And I know, and geographically, North America is a large landmass, that it makes it very difficult to, try to have the tournaments in the right spots at the right time and try to have that mix of players come in. And I know a lot of people on the West Coast especially have been like, well, why can't we have one out here? They also need the number of players to come in. I think it was one in California, but I'm like, it's tough. It's tough to make everybody happy. And then as well, it costs a lot to travel. Even before COVID, before all the deals came on, it's expensive to travel. So if you're going to do it, you need to have backing, or you've done your work and you're able to take time off and do that sort of thing. Yeah. But I mean, the one nice thing about, I don't know if it's in the States, you might be able to tell me, but In Canada, we have the Royal Canadian Legions, and I think a couple of players mentioned it, Tanner and Dawson, and they are basically open. So any event that I go in, I am playing against the men. There is no segregation of male and female, and there's some good dart players in that pool because that's the only part that they play. So it's very high level, and they have their nationals as well. I think Tanner mentioned he went to his provincials, and that's where he met Jim. So that's the thing, is there's a little bit of an untapped area that's not as popular as the bigger sport of darts, but they're doing it today, having open singles and the doubles and the teams and everything. Gender doesn't matter. You just go, if you qualify, you play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. I've done it. It's tough.
Well, I don't think it's whether you're male or female that it's tough. It's just who's put in the time and the effort to get good at darts. That's really it. There's no handicapping. It's not like, say, football or track or something where the predominant, there are people that just have different body types, and let's be honest, there is a difference between sexes, and we're built differently, we're made differently, it was designed that way, however it was designed, wherever you stand on that. But darts, it doesn't matter. You can be an 89-pound person, you can be a 300-pound person, you can be 6'8", you can be 5'2". None of that matters. The dartboard is the same height, the hockey is the same distance. There's no difference for anything in regards to, there's no physical contact unless you're playing Gerwin Price. There may be physical contact with that. And helmets are required when playing him.
Face mask,
face mask, helmets, earplugs. There's a whole get up you must wear. But, that's, again, the beauty of the sport is literally a 6-year-old that can throw and has a game for it could beat a 28-year-old pro any day of the week.
Right.
Yeah,
and you and you've seen it in your own home, and I've seen it, being out and about. And I mean, I remember chalking a game between, I was just chalk, so we didn't use Dart Connect, we were using chalk. Yeah. And I remember, because you don't look.
Was this pre whiteboards? Was it actual chalking or?
We still have actual chalk here, yeah. So, and I remember the scores going up, and I was like, I turned around to make sure I was scoring for the kid or the adult. I'm like, who's shooting? It was phenomenal. I think he had like 101 average. So I think he was 12.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, what you are. Darts is darts. It's the time you put in. I'm just as bad over COVID. Like, I'm at home, by myself and in my home office working Monday to Friday. And I'm like, do I really want to pick up a dart right now? Yeah. So it is the time you put in, but 100%. You have to be dedicated to anything that you put your time into.
Yeah. Well, speaking of COVID and being at home, which, all of us tend to, except for those of us that travel to Vegas for conferences, that have that ability. What's that been like for you as far as practice? I've heard a lot of people have kind of sloughed off on the practice, which really we should be all practicing a lot more since we have. Oh, trust me. I work and my 2 dartboards are in front of me, and I'm like, I'll do it later. Yeah. But you're playing online and doing that. What's that like? And then you're the provincial director of darts for your province, I'm assuming.
Yep.
What's that like with the whole streaming situation? How are you guys dealing with that?
So first off, we're all jealous that you're actually able to travel to Vegas, because none of us can. So, I know it seems like it's a little strange down there, so I hope you can enjoy it.
Real quick, everybody, Vegas is not what Vegas once was. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Okay.
A little tear.
Yeah.
So online during COVID. So, so just recently, I was elected into the provincial director role for British Columbia. We have different executives right across the country in the different provinces, and we roll up into National Darts, the National Dart Federation of Canada. So what's been happening is obviously COVID hit, and it was traditionally the end of the season for a lot of the leagues that are out there. They kind of run a September to spring, so they were kind of either cut short or almost over. And a lot of people have been very passionate about keeping darts going. And I was so excited when there's a gentleman named Barry Franklin out here who did webcamdarts.com as a platform. And I've been using Dart Connect for years, and just using some sort of a webcam to, to show that match happening. So, he really embraced getting people to play and not losing it. And I think there's over 300 people in his Facebook group for its Western Dart enthusiasts, I believe. It started off with a little tournament that was pretty much BC and Alberta, and the interest grew, and it's gotten the west of Canada. So the 4 big provinces, Manitoba and Saskatchewan. And he wound up adding a guy from Australia, joined the group. So, I mean, if it's well run, people will come. So webcamdarts.com is a great platform. It's used all over the world. So, I've been able to play people in Ireland, South Africa. I mean, time zones are a bugger, but if you can play it, you're good. I mean, I've played a match at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they've already been 3 beers in, at their pub getting ready to play me. So we're very fortunate to have people who are passionate about the game and are doing a lot of great things with the restrictions that we have in place. Our nationals were canceled in Nova Scotia this past June. They're working towards rescheduling them for next year. But we have one venue that I'm aware of in British Columbia that actually is able to play darts. The rest of us have pretty much been shut down. And they might start them up again soon, but with social distancing up here we're pretty under the thumb with our health authorities and such. So yeah, so playing at home, you got to set it up. I'm sitting on the other side of my board. The halo light is from my ring, but I'm trying to get some better light here this morning. But if you have the opportunity to search out groups that are doing online darts, Metro Dart Club down in Washington State is spreading out. The Western Dart Enthusiast Group, clearly not just Canadian only. It's going out of the country. The level of play, these guys are playing a lot, so their averages are great. They're at home playing if they've got their buddy or family, kids to play with or play against. But it's the same thing again. If you're going to do it, it's no different than showing up to a tournament, except there's not the people, but you need to put in the time to practice.
Yeah. And this is a question that's come up in the last couple of interviews I've done with online darts, which again is incredibly awesome. Like Will Stewart for here has been doing it. There's the bearded dart guy, he's been doing stuff. So we're seeing it here, in the South for you guys. But with it as a whole, do you think that we've fractured darts where we're going to have live darts tournaments and then we're going to have the online darts community that only plays? We're going to have tournaments. We're going to have people that are just that online situation, and then we'll have physical in-person play.
That's a great question. That would almost have to be a personal, in my opinion, answer.
Yeah.
If I could drop online virtual darts, I'd be out.
Yeah.
I am the type of person that I do not like playing at home by myself. And I'm not, I'm not the only one. So in my opinion, if we could be physically in a venue and hang out and play darts and do what we, love to do, my online would be done. I'd sell the webcam on eBay and off I go. I don't ever look at it again. But some people are loving it. Maybe they're remote already and they haven't been able to travel to play the dart tournaments like the rest of us, say in a more populated area, can. So I think those people may have a different opinion about, keeping virtual going as well as in person. So I think there might be people that will do virtual and keep it going, but it won't be, I don't feel it'll be as prevalent. I've got travel voucher credits from not being able to go. I want to travel. I want to go see. I want to go play.
Yeah, so, I think we're going to see it split. I think we're going to see those that are used to having the community around them and the physical interactions and being able to sit down and have coffee and talk and hug each other and play darts together in teams and do those things. But I think there's going to be a side of darts now that's going to be this there'll be virtual leagues, there'll be virtual tournaments. There's going to be this whole separate piece. I think some people from there will mature over into, and that mature may not be the right word because I don't think you're maturing. You're transferring from doing the online into the physical play. Right. But I think we've really created two opportunities for the sport, which is awesome. It'll help it grow.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I think it definitely has allowed more people to play that maybe in the traditional sense would not be able to travel to different tournaments like some people do, or they just live. I can tell you in British Columbia, our province is huge, but the number of players up north versus south, it's very small. And those players pay a lot of money to fly down to play in tournaments. And now they don't have to. They're putting the same amount of time in as everybody else, but now they can virtually join and play. So I agree with you. I think in general, I think it's just gonna be a split thing, but I definitely feel it has created a bigger opportunity to grow the sport and the number of players.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they have the opportunity to come in person to play in a tournament, they will. Because
I think so. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I did want to ask you, in regards to the online play and kind of dealing with this, how much are you involved with getting online play tournaments? Are you building tournaments up? Are you guys doing any of that? Are you personally being involved in, and what kind of scoring apparatuses are you guys using?
So I personally haven't been involved in creating an event or a platform for people to be on, but I've definitely supported if it's a matter of advertising it or sharing, participating. I've been asked to participate in a few of them. And again, I think as someone who enjoyed the sport very much and does enjoy the sport very much, I was having a really hard time with COVID, being cooped up and not being able to do it in person. So I did it right at the beginning and I've kind of slacked off. I think mentally I just needed a break. So I've come back and, there are different platforms that they're using. So I already mentioned webcamdarts.com. I've used NACA as a platform. I got to participate in I think one of the first made up World Cup events. So when we played against Ireland, especially, they only use NACA. So it was a good platform. I mean, I've used Dart Connect for several years now, and trying to bring it into Canada it's different, because I think you asked the question to someone else, is it taking away from the math skills? To Matt. And I'm like, up here, some of the parents do feel that, but there are a lot of people that aren't good at math, and that's a discouraging factor for them, is to stand at the board and be completely, mortified that they're not able to count. So I think using different platforms for all this different virtual stuff is a great opportunity to learn all these different things. And when we do go back to playing in person or continue to build virtual tournaments, there's lots of opportunities to use different things that work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not one solid platform. And speaking with Matt about Darts Connect, and that was Matt Stoner, who was on a couple weeks ago. It's interesting because I asked my son about, does he, when he's counting or adding them up, is he looking at the tablet for that? And for him, he's like, no, I don't need to do that. And the truth, I think the truth of the matter is, if you're playing a lot, even if you're doing the tablet, it just comes. You start doing it before you go put in the numbers. You just start mentally doing the addition or the multiplication, whatever it might be that you need to. And it just becomes natural because you're consistently playing.
And I agreed with that comment when you said that. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's consistency overall. And whether it's, an assist device to help you add or whatever, the math starts to come. Yeah. It might be a little bit easier on Dart Connect because you can use the keypad and whatnot, but otherwise, we've used it
Yeah.
and we're trying to get more usage out of it because it does make sense. So, there's the cost factor if you're running a tournament, but I mean, otherwise, the program is there. Why not use it?
Yeah, true.
So, but I think a lot of the people, when you start talking to them, like, I'm not a big stats person myself, but a lot of people like their stats, and that, Dart Connect does provide that,
Yes,
for them.
they do, and I don't like my stats. So
Yeah, I'm not a
yeah,
fan right now.
yeah. I mean, like I look at them, but I don't necessarily like them. So,
But I mean, a lot of people just love them, and I see them posting on social media. Oh, hey, I just had a great match against so and so. Check out the third game. I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, it's actually a positive. So
yeah, it's something, and that's what you should be posting. For social media. If you're a darts player, those are the types of things that you should be posting. I do want to talk about this because you are a champion, and not everybody may not know this, but let's talk about Barbados.
Oh, yeah, my favorite place.
Yes, Barbados. And I will say that, Dawn, I loved all the posts that always came, the whole Barbados, pushing the tournament, and then of course there. And this year didn't happen, but you won the last Barbados tournament. Is that not correct?
I won the singles. I didn't go last year.
Okay.
But the 3 consecutive years before when we went, so I was fortunate enough to win the singles, and I came second in the ladies doubles. So it was pretty cool. We had a huge representation from the West Coast. Actually, we kind of talked it up and went with our American buddies, down the coast. So then the next year I won the doubles with one of our Hall of Fame players up here, actually, Peggy McKay. And that was a lot of fun. And then the next year I played with a lady I met from England, Sarah Roberts, and we won that one. So yeah, I love Barbados. Not just because I've had success there, but the whole tourism. I mean, they live off their tourism. That's only 300,000 people on this island. And when the dart players come in, it's no different than a cruise ship coming in, basically. We're part of adding to the local economy. But they are so loving their dart players. I mean, they had us on TV. They have 3 national papers. I'm like, we have 1. But anyway, I mean, like, we were in all 3 newspapers every day. And they didn't just talk about their local talent or the Caribbean talent, the Americans, the Europeans, Canadians. And, I think the funniest story I told someone was I was coming out of the hotel to go to the store to grab something, and one of the taxi drivers was, hey, you're Dawn. He's like yelling at me from across the street. You were on my radio. I'm like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. But that's what makes an experience. That reinvigorated why I play. These little kids were asking for dart supplies that that I was using. They're like, "Can I get your flights?" I'm like, I'm on stage and I'm tossing them to the crowd. No, but it makes you appreciate what you do, even though it's darts. Somebody had fun and enjoyed it as much as you did, and they wanted to be involved in it. So I do encourage people to go to any tournament, but the Barbados one is not ranked. It is definitely a festival, as they call it. But I mean, they have their different way of playing, but they're still a round robin. The setup may not be as technical as here. And, but yeah, it's a great experience. I loved it. I mean, that's why I went back 3 years in a row, and why people are still going back. It's not just the warm weather and, rum drinks and all that fun stuff that you do when you're on holidays. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's a great experience. And if you have the opportunity to go, why wouldn't you go?
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah. So Michael Heel out of the UK runs that event, and he's always looking for, ways to make things better. And I think that's what makes a tournament successful. I think it's the 17th year it would have been this year. So, but yeah, no, I encourage anyone to get out and do different things. And I think, like you were saying, like, people see it. Like, we went from 15 people in our little group to 32.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, social media and just doing the right thing. Sometimes it pays to do the right thing.
Yeah, it definitely pays dividends. And it's probably the one tournament that if you get ousted right away, you don't mind sticking around and hanging out and having a good time.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's good.
Yeah. I've been to a number of tournaments where people, lose, including PDC tournaments, and they can't get out of that place fast enough.
Yeah.
I remember a couple years ago, MVG lost, and this was here in Vegas. And I mean, he and his family were like 2 seconds after he lost, they were going up the escalator. They're like, "We're out of here."
Yeah.
I would assume the Barbados tournament, no one leaves until it's over.
I know. So. Well, you are kind of stuck there. But I mean,
right.
no, but I hear you. No, that's no. There's no sour grapes if you didn't make it. There's still a lot of things to do and support.
I think it's the one tournament someone would actually throw a match just to be done so they could party the whole time.
Oh, I hope not. But I mean, it is cool. I mean, there's so many stories out of the different tournaments, period. And yeah, I can't wait to see. I'm looking forward to seeing other people in Barbados too. I mean, it's just such a fun tournament. I mean, it may not be the perfectly run tournament. It's okay. Nothing's perfectly run.
Yes.
We've all been there. Yeah. I've been at nationals and there's been a problem. It happens. It's okay, but it's how you keep going through the day or the week or the weekend, and like you say, it doesn't hurt to lose in Barbados.
Yeah. and all tournaments have their hiccups and their issues that they come about, and you just need to deal with and not get too stressed out. I know it's competitiveness and there's that juices flowing, but
yeah,
you just got to roll with the punches. But it's easier to do in Barbados. It's much easier to do there.
That's true.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Xandra here. So she's also a Canadian player.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to meet her. She's a wonderful lady. She just had back surgery. Well, it's been a little while. She's in recovery from that.
Yep.
So I just want to give her a shout out. She is a great lady. If you guys don't know her, go check her out on social media. She loves darts. She loves talking about darts, and she's kind of been hung out. So, basically isolated because of surgery type stuff. So she would probably love to hear from everybody in the darts community. Again, that's Xandra here. You can see her up here on the screen.
Well, that's the thing. Like she's another great woman player. She's always supporting. I got to meet her down at the PDC last year in Vegas. We were both on the same under Accurate Dart there for a while, and she still is. She's a great lady. She's always putting herself out there to help others and talk up the game and help anybody as they need. So just an overall great player.
Yeah, I love talking with her and hanging out with her, and she's super supportive of darts and everybody. So as we're getting ready to, as I say, land the plane, and I stole that.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, I know, we're landing the plane. You've played against some really wonderful, top talented ladies. Mm-hmm. Is there someone that you haven't played against that you wish you could play against?
That's a tough one. I've had the opportunity to travel a lot, so I've played a lot of your southern ladies. Gosh. No, you know what? I've had the honor of playing a lot of great women from Canada, from North America and Europe. I could say I'd love to go to England and play against Fallon or play against Nita. It'd be so cool to play an exhibition game against them. But I just think I would play against anybody.
Yeah.
I've played against a lot of people.
Yeah.
Men and women, and I've had, like you said, I've had my butt kicked. I've taken a game. Maybe I had a great shot, but I missed a double. I think if you love the game, you just keep playing. And sure, there's some top talent that I'd love to get the opportunity to play one day, and I may not, but that's not going to stop me from playing anywhere. I went down to Nashville last year and played in the North American Women qualifier for Europe that Peter ran with Rita. And, they did a lot of great work for women's darts. And that's where I got to meet a lot of your top talent, Deb Ivy and, Renee and seeing, Paula. You see, a lot of times you see their names on social media, but you never get a chance to meet them. So I always tell people, if you have a chance to travel and go do a tournament, please go. Because it'll improve your game. You get to meet people. And in general, it just lets you see how other things are run outside your own bubble. even though we're in a bubble right now.
Yeah.
When you get the chance to go outside the bubble, go, because it's amazing. And I know friends that have traveled and done World Cup, they've gone to Japan and England, and you just got to support them, because you almost live vicariously through them if you don't get to go, and they get to play the big name ladies. So I just think everybody has done such a great job over the last few years, raising their game, raising awareness, and bringing a positive to the game. It's not just a bar sport anymore.
Yeah.
It's not. And it hasn't been for several years, but it's the optics, and we're all responsible for those optics.
Yeah, we want the Olympics. Let's just be honest.
I know.
We want to be an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
You know,
It's gonna come, darn it.
it's going. You know what? Honestly, I think it will, because I think as the sport has grown and we're seeing a lot more international play, it makes sense. And it's been run in a tournament format for a long time, that some host country is going to say, let's add this in, and it's going to work out. So
yep.
Fingers are crossed.
It'll definitely come. I think so. I mean, we have standards, we have tournaments, we have qualifiers, we have yearly qualifying tournaments. I mean, it's nothing that shouldn't be looked at.
Yeah.
And we got ping pong and other fabulous pastimes that are made the Olympics.
Yeah. I think it will. I think it will. I think we're going to get there. So, excuse me. And I know I asked this about the ladies, but is there a guy player that you would love to go toe-to-toe at the Aki with? And I mean, we're talking anybody. It could be past people.
Yeah.
It could be like Bristow. Or is it, going to be Phil Taylor? I mean, who would be the one player you would love to go toe-to-toe on the male side?
So it's funny you should say that, because my first year that I played, and then I'll answer. I was 12 out in Nova Scotia, and they also had the adult nationals at the same time, and the Canadian Open, which was big. And a lot of European players came over, and I actually had the opportunity to play against Eric Bristow and his girlfriend at the time, Maureen Flowers. So it's funny you should say that. And actually, I have a set of his barrels. He gave them to me.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, so I've already done that. So who do I want to play now?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to have to reach out, because I think it'd be a fun match. I'd love to play against Jim Long.
Yes.
I just think he's just a nice gentleman, and his demeanor, like no games. Like, I'm not saying that everybody does, or there are players that I wouldn't play because they do. I just think he's such a great shot. And not just he's Canadian. I just think he's a great ambassador. And I would love to have my ass kicked by him.
And he's Canadian. Let's be honest. He's Canadian. Come on, that's part of it. I mean, I want to play Wade Martle and Bobby George. Bobby
George, that'd be good.
And maybe, get Gerwin in there. If I could just play all three of them, I mean, that would be like a stage show you could put on. If the three of them playing, you could get a good hour-long stage show out of the three of them. So I would be excited about that. I'm going to have to reach out to Mr. Long as well and see if I can get him on the show.
Oh, I will get him on your show. Come on.
Yeah, I think he would be great on here. I think it'd be a ton of fun. So
he's just like a quiet champion. Like, we have a lot of great guys in North America that do such a fabulous job. And when if one player makes it, the entire country is cheering for them.
Yeah.
The continent. If Darren Young makes it, and all of Canada's cheering for him. If Jeff Smith or Kylie or Jim or anybody makes it, everybody's cheering for him. All the Americans in Canada. So that just shows how sport has grown. It's not the typical hockey match, U.S. versus Canada. Gonna go down, Matt. Just gonna say. But no. But that's the thing. It's grown to such a level that people enjoy watching everybody play.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to play everybody.
It has united the Canadians and the Americans when darts comes together, and especially for world championships.
Yeah.
I know that, like, with Darren last year getting to the second round, there was a lot of support from both sides.
Yep.
Our side of the world, so to speak. So, and that's the fun thing is we can make some jokes about it, but at the same time, we can have a lot of fun and support.
Yeah.
Two nations coming together, to support a player.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's fun. It's fun to see him.
you see all those social media, all their profile pictures have changed to Dave Cameron, Darren Young, or Jeff Smith, Fallon, just because she's a woman and she did it. It's so cool to watch and be part of.
Yeah. And I'm a huge Jeff Smith fan. I mean, it's one of the players that he's the guy that if I would want to play, I'll say that. Out of all the PDC guys, I would love to play Jeff, and I would love to I think I would stumble talking. I'd be like, one of those. There's something about him. And I've met him. I've met him out in Vegas, and just the most humble, nicest guy. You could sit down and have a conversation with him, have a beer, and he's just such a good guy.
And that's the thing when I've had the chance to sit with Joe Chaney and Darren Young and have conversations with these big players. And I'm not one of those fan geek ones. I mean, I'm pretty cool, but I mean, just to know that they're a normal person, like their personality is what it is, and they're usually very quiet, surprisingly. But I mean, they're just nice people. Again, it's just showing that the level of the game has raised entirely, and there are good representation for the sport out there. That we're just tapping the iceberg tip, the tip of the iceberg here of how we can take the sport.
Yeah. Well, as we land the plane again, we're taxiing down here now. I do want to give a shout out to your sponsors again, if you could do that, and if you'd let people know where they could reach out to you and get to know you like I have. So if you could. Sure.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. It's awesome to talk darts. And I promote Atomic Darts all the time because I think you have such a great personality for the sport itself, and you love the sport. So I hope lots of people, you have your YouTube and Facebook. So I hope people chime in and subscribe and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be here today without, my awesome sponsors of Orange Kitchen and Bar up here in Port Coquitlam, Monstah Clothing, and of course, L Style Global. So I want to thank them for always being behind me. I mean, again, sometimes you don't always produce the results, but I think it's a lot about who you are as a person, and keep continuing to support in a good way to do that. If they want to reach me, I didn't put a company name or anything, so they can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, Don Marchand. And I mean, look for your local suppliers to get your supplies, whatever your preference is. We got Hard Luck Darts, Smurf Darts, Atomic. I think you still have some stuff, and I think you just go from there. It's a great time. It's not the greatest of times to be playing darts, but you can definitely do some great things with it still, and support those that are trying to keep it going.
A great time to practice.
I know. Yes, we keep saying it, but we're not doing it.
Yeah. Well, Don, I appreciate you having on the show, and we got to bring this up real quick because there is a dart couple in the making that is finally getting married, and you're not able to make the wedding, and I just wanted to bring it up here and put it out. You guys need to make that a live situation, but could you please share with the darts community a little bit about this great couple, as you know them personally, and we're going to be in their wedding.
I thought we were going to end this conversation on a high, and I wasn't going to cry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so with COVID, with the border closure, work restrictions, health authority restrictions were a little bit stringent up here, up in the Great White North. I'm going to be missing my best friend's wedding in Washington. That is, Lisa Filer, and everybody loves Jeff Springer. I don't know why, but hey. So I'm missing this great friends. Finally tie the knot. It got canceled and had to be rescheduled because of COVID restrictions. They've been able to do everything the way they should. They've gone above and beyond all the social distancing and such, but I still can't make it. So I might just wear my bridesmaid dress and just kind of like parade around. But yes, I asked her if she was going to stream it live, and she said, no, you have to be there. So
the darts community is saddened, but I just wanted to bring it up and just let them know if they happen to see this. Congratulations to both of you. we as a darts community who have followed your relationship for many years are very happy for the two of you and excited to see the youth that will come and take your spots.
No pressure there. Build up the
no pressure at all, guys. No pressure at all. So, all right. Well, we need to close this out. Technically, I've used up a lot of your time, and I apologize. There's one last thing that I have to do because Tanner has asked for it. Tanner Picard, who was on the show, I mentioned to him the Cheerio challenge, which is something that my son came up with. We actually did a video on it, so you can figure out how to play it. It's over there on YouTube, just Cheerio challenge. It basically is a way to practice, but you know how they have the practice rings?
I have those.
I have a set too. He wanted to do it with Cheerios and cereal. So I now tack little Cheerios or little cereals onto the dartboard, and we throw darts to try and hit them. It makes a mess when you hit them. He loves it, and he's actually really good at it. The best part is when they explode and the pieces go everywhere.
That's all I would be here for, would be special effects.
Yeah, it's totally cool. But Tanner brought it up, and I'm supposed to mention the Cheerio challenge. So everybody out there, go tack some Cheerios onto your dartboard and see if you can hit them. It's a lot harder than you think.
So do we hashtag like the Cheerio challenge and hashtag like Tanner Harper or something?
Yeah, hashtag Cheerio challenge, and it's Dylan. Dylan's my son.
Okay.
So Tanner was the gentleman that was on. Yeah, he brought it up, and he's like, you need to tell everybody about this. So I think Tanner's doing the Cheerio challenge nowadays for practice. So,
okay. Well, for Dylan, I will do my best.
Okay. All right. Well, Dawn, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I've really enjoyed it. And of course, we've had the opportunity to communicate prior via social media, but this has been awesome. And I can't wait to physically actually get to meet you, give you a hug, and have a drink with you. So
that'd be awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be part of like I said at the top of the hour, like you do a lot for darts, and it's, again, everything picks up momentum as, positive messages are sent, and, you keep it light, you keep it fun, and I hope everybody else enjoys it as well. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you being on. And if there's ever any darts stuff you want to get out, just reach out to me. Would love to have you back on the show, and we can always talk about Barbados, or when you get back down there, maybe we can do we'll do a live show there together.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Dawn. And thanks everybody for being here and checking out the show, and check out L Style, of course. Check out Monstah. I don't know that you can check out the loser is really what that means. Sorry. Just had to throw that out there. You can't check out the restaurant, but hey, and don't forget to check out Shot Darts as well. Great manufacturer, great lover of, as far as companies go, of the darts community, and Magicwear, who sponsors the show as well. And Dawn, I just want you to know, I play L Style. They're my favorite shaft, favorite flight.
I'll catch you online, my friend.
There we go. All right, guys, everybody have a great day. We'll see you on Monday. It's going to be an evening show, 5:00 Pacific time. We're talking with the Kyle Anderson, who just recently signed with Shot. That's going to be a really great conversation.
That'll be awesome.
So, all right, I'll see you later, Dawn. Thanks. Have a good one.